Hey, welcome back to Reading the List, where we review, discuss, and reimagine popular movie lists objectively. We're your hosts. I'm Jerry.
And I'm Brad. And in this episode, we'll be exploring number 42 from AFI's 100 Years, 100 Passions, the 100 Greatest Love Stories of All Time.
All right, number 42 is Anna Karenina, released in 1935, directed by Clarence Brown, starring Greta Garbo, Basil Rathbone, and Frederick March.
The synopsis for this romantic historical drama is as follows. In 1874, Russian Empire socialite Anna Karenina, played by Greta Garbo, travels from St. Petersburg to Moscow with her older husband Alexei Karenin, played by Basil Rathbone, and her son, to convince her sister-in-law, Princess Daria, to forgive her philandering brother, Prince Steva. She meets Count Alexei Vronsky, played by Frederick March, and the attraction between she and the wealthy officer is immediate. Back in St. Petersburg, gossip about the two starts stirring through high society. Despite a promotion awaiting him in Tashkent, he refuses it, and Anna agrees she does not want him to leave. She becomes his mistress. Karenin eventually learns of the affair, but won't grant her a divorce and insists she end the affair. She cannot, and he cuts her off, including not allowing her to see their son. The scandal of the affair weighs on both Anna and Vronsky. When it becomes clear she cannot be with the man she loves, she throws herself in front of a train.
So this is a happy story.
Yeah, well, I mean, one it's based on Russian literature, which isn't exactly the hotbed of happy ending stories. This is a Leo Tolstoy novel. It has been adapted 30 plus times.
It's insane.
Including, I think
it was 2012?
2021 there was one.
Was it really?
Yeah. It's got, what's her name? I can't think of her name.
Okay.
British actress who's in every historical thing.
Keira Knightley.
Yes, Keira Knightley is in it.
Yes.
This one is actually the second time Greta Garbo plays the role. So she was in a silent version of this, which I didn't even know existed.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, she was in a silent version of this movie where she played Anna.
Mm-hmm.
This is a really interesting one. This is a book I've never read, but kind of in researching this and trying to piece together a good synopsis for this, which was really hard. I kind of want to read the story because it sounds like all these adaptations kind of miss the mark on what the story is
this
truly
book is
about. It's like 900
ginormous.
It's like 900 pages. Yeah.
I know two people in my life that have been trying to get through that book for years.
I'm thinking about audiobook maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to sit down and read it, but
I highly recommend finding out who's reading it first and listen to their voice. Because if they're like, meh, 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 you're gonna be like,
But I mean, trying to, filter a 900-page book down into a 2-hour or less movie, really, really difficult task. This to me feels like, and frankly, they did it on Netflix, which is what the last one was. Why didn't they do this as a limited series, or do it like how they did the that most recent was it Pride and Prejudice? That's 6 hours. It's over the course of 3 2-hour episodes. At the very least, do that because Pride and Prejudice
I'm sure it's out there if it's been done 30 times.
Ain't nowhere near as long as this book is.
But a side note, that mini series of Pride and Prejudice that the BBC did.
It's really good.
So good.
Yeah.
So this movie is interesting because it really punishes this woman over and over again for trying to seek a better life for herself.
Well, it's not that. It's not so much seek a better life for herself. It's to seek her own happiness. She's married, you know, it's royalty and high society and all that. She's basically in an arranged marriage
Yes.
with a much older man, which frankly is not well done. Like, you need to
Yeah,
get,
he didn't look that
you
much
need
older
to get
than
a
her.
much older actor than Basil Rathbone in this part, which I've heard, because I think I've seen like 2 or 3 of these versions. One of them was a Russian version a long time ago. That's kind of always the thing that they do, is they don't put a character old enough to be her husband, to kind of they always put like a good looking younger man in the role, and it's like that kind of defeats the whole purpose of the thing. Is there are spots in this movie, in my opinion, where Vronsky seems older than her husband does.
Yes, that is very true.
And, you know, in terms of like maturity and how he deals with things and things like that. And it's like, you need to get someone age appropriate for the role.
Well, and just, you know, she loses everything.
Yeah, and I think that's another mistake. I think that she is miscast. Greta Garbo is too strong a screen presence to really pick up the fragility that the character is supposed to have in the story. I don't think she really has it. I don't buy it.
I didn't find that at all.
I didn't buy. I didn't buy that she had the kind of fragility that would lead her at the end of this to kind of, you know, despair to the point of jumping in front of a train.
I see what you're saying. The thing that gets me is that she leaves her kid. She left her kid.
And I think what happens actually in the book, and based on like looking through a lot of these, is that there's actually another child.
Oh.
Like, she has Vronsky's child.
Ooh.
Which is what leaves her. So she's got to make a choice between the 2 kids.
Oh, I see. Oh, God.
Which is that
makes sense.
That's a true Sophie's choice.
Yeah, for sure.
Which I don't think gets played up well in this movie.
She only has 1 kid in this movie.
Yeah, this movie makes it look like, oh, I'm going to leave my young son behind so I can, you know, go off and be in love with this guy. Which, you know what? Honestly, that's a valid decision, but it's not necessarily one that is going to endear you to an
that's
audience.
What I mean. I feel like they're trying to they were making their own story, and where they're like trying to punish her for these decisions she made. I think
because this is 1935 and the Hays Code was I don't know if it had started yet, but it was coming. It might have actually started already. Is you can't have her be married with a kid and then have one out of wedlock, which is what actually happens in the story. You couldn't portray that because of the Hays Code, which kind of defeats the, like, why the hell tell the story?
Yeah, it's dumb.
It's stupid, but
then what really is sad about this story is that she leaves her son, she leaves her husband, she goes off with this guy, and then he starts like, oh, I need to go back to war. Like, he kind of feels like he makes an excuse to get away from her.
Yeah, which I wonder is if that's in the text or not. That's one of the reasons I really want to read the book, is I want to kind of get a sense of, you know, did they do a real good job on this? Because I'm kind of, I have to...
I'd like to watch the most modern version of it, just to kind of see.
Guess what we're doing after we're recording, I guess. But, you know, I also didn't think that her and March had great chemistry, enough to the point where it's like, oh, you know, you got to have like such magnetic chemistry to buy that they're on this train together and they meet and it's like, oh shit.
Yeah.
We got that thing going.
I felt it on his end, but not so much her end. It came as kind of shocking that she was like, yes, I love you. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
One thing that I did notice about this movie was the camera work was really good.
This does some really incredible, like especially for the time. There's this, in the beginning, there's this big kind of like, all these soldiers have come back from, I'm not sure what war was happening at the time in the 1870s, but they kind of have all just come back. and there's this huge feast with this super long table, and they do this tracking shot where they just pull back along the table, and it's such a good shot.
It's a really cool shot.
There's a lot of real, like, whoever was the cameraman on this movie did a fantastic job. It's like there's a lot of really, really, modern techniques, and like for especially like for movies at the time, you didn't see a lot of that. You don't really see a lot of that until you get to like a few years later, where you hear about like the stuff that Wells does in Citizen Kane and things like that. This guy's doing some of that.
Yeah.
There's some really, really cool shots in this movie. It looks
really good.
It looks really good. It feels cold, which they obviously didn't shoot it in Russia in the winter.
Yes.
But you feel cold, which is that's a testament to the filmmakers and how it's being portrayed. Overall, this is like, I see why they keep going over and over again back to this source material. It's just one of those things where, like, if you're gonna do it, bring something new to it, tell the story, try to really, you've got 900 pages of
or tell like the story that they haven't done from the book. I'm sure there's a lot of stuff left out.
You could probably modernize this. You could even go back farther in time. Like, you could do this like as a Regency story. You could do this as like like Knights of the Round Table kind of situation. You don't necessarily need to set it in Russia. Really boil it down to what the story is about, which is a woman being forced to make choices that affect her happiness, and there are kind of almost no consequences for the men. She like everything weighs on her shoulders and not so much on either her husband or on Vronsky, despite the fact that Vronsky loves her, would love to be with her. But even if like the scandalous part of this wouldn't hit him in the same way that it's going to hit her. There's just an unfairness there. So the weight of the story is kind of on her. So you kind of need to feel that a little bit more. And I don't know.
Well, and not only that, like, she goes all this way with this guy. She leaves everything, and then he's like,
wishy-washy about it.
Yeah,
I think there's a lot of women that can relate to a story like that, even in modern times.
Yeah, for sure.
I gave this one a little bit higher score than Jerry did. Probably mostly because of the filmmaking techniques. I gave it a 57. Jerry gave it a 48. The list score is 52.5.
All right. I'd really like to watch another version.
Okay.
And just kind of see.
Guess that's what we're doing.
Yeah, that's what we're doing.
So I guess we need to shut down and go watch it.
Let's go check it out. Okay. All right. Well, please let us know if you've seen this version. If you've seen this movie, please comment on our post. And if you like our content, please subscribe to our channel. If you'd like to email us, please email us at ratingthelist@gmail.com. But for now, I'm Jerry.
And I'm Brad.
And we're rating the list. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.